Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
All right, welcome everybody. I'm gonna do my darndest today not to be a scatterbrain. You know, I've written down tons of little notes and thoughts that have come into my mind. I kind of do it on a regular basis. Something will come to my mind. I'll send myself an email. I'll write something down on my phone. And again, stuff that I want to share with you and talk with you about. We're in our third decade on the air. I was on the air on September 11th, 2001 from my home in New York City. Did radio shows that seen a lot and covered a lot over the years here on the program. And there's been certain points, times, certain things that we've discussed here that, again, have affected me deeply in the sense that what I try to do here on the program is I try to educate as best I can. As best I can. I know the problems that we have when it comes to the media and narratives, and you're trying to be sold something. I understand that it's gotten worse instead of better. I remember when Twitter first came out. I said, this is not going to end well. It's not going to end well. We've oftentimes described social media here on the program as it's the pink slime that was oozing underneath New York City in the sewers in Ghostbusters 2, that all it did was bring negative energy. And the funny thing is that people in power understand this. And they use it. They use it to control us and to garner themselves greater power. And what they should be doing is trying to do what's best for the country, to serve us. I've gotten lots of phone calls and emails over the years asking me, say, hey, Chris, why don't you run for office? Why don't you go out there and put yourself out there? I can't. I have a business to run. I have a family. I have employees. I've got college payments that I've got to make. I can't spend my time going to Washington, D.C., calling people up and raising money. I can't do that. I think I'm of better service doing what I'm doing now. And that's just the way things are now. When I saw what happened on Wednesday afternoon, again, it was like getting punched in the stomach really, really hard. Now, I'm going to say some things here in the program and get some people upset, like I always do. I know I've done, you know what I know? I've done a really good show. When I get hate emails and hate tweets and hate messages from both sides, that's when I know I've done a pretty good job here on the radio. I've ticked off both sides. Because let me tell you something, people. I am an equal opportunity basher. I am honest. I'm honest. I go after both sides. I've gone after Donald Trump big time here on this program, and I've also given him kudos with the good things that he's done. First and foremost, you never hit a girl, right? Never hit a girl. Never. I don't care what. You don't hit a girl. You know what you also don't do? You do not destroy property. You don't. And I'm starting to see it already. And again, it's a valid point. Well, how come they weren't coming out and condemning all of the riots and the BLM and the Antifa stuff that happened over the summer? How come it took them so long? And it doesn't. Two wrongs do not make a right. And I'm well aware because I know this message is coming too. Well, those weren't Trump supporters. Antifa was mixed. I know that there were Antifa people mixed in there. Should have known that. But don't tell me that they were not Trump supporters that were also rioting and invaded the Capitol too, because there were. And it's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. You know, again, I mentioned this over and over here on the program. I want my kids to grow up in a country where they can succeed beyond their wildest dreams. And also, there's a flip side to that. You have to be able to fail, too. There's both sides. And we've gone after the watchdog on Wall Street, axis of evil, big business, politicians, the media, a hell of a lot longer than Donald Trump has. I know, all you people out there that worship the guy. I've been going after those entities a hell of a lot longer than he has. I get it. People on the left there, oh, look at all these, look at what they're doing, insurrection, all this stuff. People, do you understand that you've got a large swath of the country out there that is completely disenfranchised? Again, it's not just Donald Trump. You want to go back to Obama, bitter clingers to their guns and their religion, and Hillary Clinton calling people deplorables. We've talked about flyover country for years. When George W. Bush was president, media would be, oh, my God, we got to go to Crawford, Texas. They're made fun of all the time in Hollywood and television shows and movies. This is a big country. We like to call ourselves a melting pot. There's a large swath of the population look down their noses on everyone else, the people that are running the show. You want to call it the coast? Call it the coast. I don't care. You got a large swath of the population, and rightfully so. They don't trust the media. They're told by the president, they're told by the people that surround the president that the election was fraudulent. The media says, no, it wasn't. You haven't proved that. Are they going to believe the media after what took place over the past 4 years with Russia collusion and all the other crap? You didn't play a part in this too? Your hands are clean in this? How dare you? They're not clean. You're a part of this. It's your fault that people don't trust you. The old little boy who cried wolf. You lie and you lie and you lie and you lie and you lie. Then all of a sudden you expect people to believe you? Yeah, and Donald Trump is throwing a lot of massive exaggerations out there as well, and we've covered that here on the program. Since Election Day, I've gotten tons of email. And again, I've gotten all the information that you're sending me in regards to statistical analysis. How could this be? Votes being here, pictures being taken. I get all that. I've seen all that. But if you think you're going to get a court to overturn an election when we're dealing in gray areas, you're crazy. Crazy. I mean, I'm honest. Do I think that there was stuff that was done that was shady? Absolutely. Absolutely. But if you think a court is going to step in and deal with that, you're wrong. Republicans got played. And Georgia, Stacey Abrams kicked your ass. She understood the rules, and what did they do? It was ballot harvesting. It was ballot harvesting. And the funny thing is, and most people are not reading this stuff. They're just looking on their social media feeds or reading the comments section out there. Peter Navarro came out with a second report this past week, Art of the Steal. Art of the Steal. And he follows all of the irregularities across the battleground states. And basically what he does is it provides and I quote, comprehensive, objective assessment of the fairness and integrity of the 2020 election, and how the Democrats took a two-pronged approach to affect Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's narrow and illegitimate victory. That's what he put out there. But then if you continue to look, the practical result of the Democrat Party's two-pronged grand stuff-the-ballot box strategy was to flood the 6 key battleground states with enough illegal absentee and mail-in ballots to turn a decisive Trump victory into a narrow Biden victory. And guess what? Most of this stuff, and they admit to it, was legal. And I quote, it's important to point out that much of what the Democrats did was legal. But some of what they did at best was also bent. Bent. It broke, maybe, the rules of law. This is Navarro. This is his own words. Again, Goldman Sachs and all the big brokerage firms, we covered this, created securities that they knew were garbage and sold them. Sold them to people. They knew that they were going to blow up. And guess what? They made money when they sold them, and they made money when they blew up because they shorted the damn things. Guess what? It's not illegal. It's unethical, but it's not illegal. There's a difference between the two. This needs to be handled within the state. We do not want to federalize our elections. You understand Rand Paul and these people out there have been right the entire time? Do you really want to get rid of the Electoral College? This needs to be handled in the states. And yes, did they take advantage of the pandemic? Did they use it to their advantage? They did. They did. You know what they had? A hell of a lot better ground game. A hell of a lot better ground game is what they had. And that's why they won. And no, it's not Mike Pence's fault. Is that what you really want? You really wanted him to throw this country into a constitutional crisis? Is that what you really wanted? If Trump made the statement that he made when he said he's going to allow the transition of power to take place, which he did, I think it was late Wednesday evening, early Thursday morning. If he had put that statement out the day after Election Day and said he was going to go out there to try to uncover all the fraud and figure out what happened, would we not be in a better place right now? I would probably would have won in Georgia too. If you're not equally disgusted at this point in time, if you're not equally outraged, outraged, you heard me this past summer covering what was going on here in this country. Coming depressed. Seeing what I've seen happen. You depressed yesterday? Yeah, I was depressed yesterday. How could you not be? How could you not be? How could you not be embarrassed? Whole world's watching. My mother-in-law watches her Greek television stations and comes up to me yesterday heavy Greek accent, asked me what's going on in Washington. I go in, it's all over. You don't think that all of the stuff that was happening yesterday, do you think it was just here in America? It was on the front pages of every foreign newspaper. It was on all of their television shows as well. Shining city on a hill? No. God willing, people. God willing, we can take a couple steps back from this. Take a couple steps back from this. Learn from this. Learn to listen to the other side. To have intelligent debates. To not disrespect other people because they might think differently than you do. I want to talk a little bit about this little logic and reason, Socratic thought when we get back. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a special program today. It is. We're going to get into all the financial stuff. A lot we got to go over on the program today, but we're going to kind of have to rise above that because we've got more important fish to fry today. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family. We shall return.
Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
You know, there's that old saying out there's a time and place for everything. Let me tell you something, people. I'm telling you right now, social media is not the place for political discussion nor debate. If you have somebody you know that thinks differently than you do, and you want to, you want to listen first and foremost. That's important. The ability to listen to others and understand their perspective on things and how the world works and how they view things. And when you do that, you don't do that by firing off comments on Twitter or Facebook or whatever social media platform you do. You go out and you get a cup of coffee. And you talk about it where you can come to some sort of resolution, but we don't have that anymore. It's all about trying to gain power or get one over on someone else. I never try to get over on anyone else. I understand, again, it's the capital is in me. I want anybody that I'm speaking to, both of us can walk away happy from a situation if you want things to work out that way. Same in business. You don't need to get over on somebody else. You need to do business with somebody else. And if your person you do business with is happy and you're happy, guess what? You're going to continue to do business with one another. Yeah, we got a rule in my house with my kids. I'm not the dad that says, basically, do what I say. Do what I say. Don't question anything. I've talked about that. If they don't understand something or reason for why I'm telling them to do something, I want them to ask. We want to have a conversation. Debate is good. I don't mind my kids disagreeing with me or arguing with me about it. And I will lay things out for them and give them my point. But you're never, ever disrespectful. I'm not going to disrespect them, and they better well not disrespect me. Because I said so. That's something that doesn't come out of my mouth. Because I said so. I will explain. But we're not there now. Listen, people, you don't think that I understand. I went over this on the program after Election Day. Again, the Trumpsters out there so upset with me. How could you say that? I said, I understand why people didn't vote for Trump. I get it. I get it perfectly well why they didn't vote. For some people, they couldn't get past some of the things that he said. And I listen, I understand that's their point of view. It doesn't make them wrong. It doesn't make them right. Everybody has their own boundaries and they're all aligned. We're not the same. Everyone's different. And I could sit there and say, well, look at all of the great things that he's done for small business and how well the economy has grown and all of this stuff. And they didn't want to hear that because, again, Trump crossed a line with them that they couldn't come back from. That doesn't make that person bad. Got to take another break. Again, watchdogonwallstreet.com. Become a part of our family, our personal CFO program, all sorts of great stuff. Again, got a lot of financial stuff we got to go over today, but I'm not done yet. Watchdogonwallstreet.com. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Oh, yeah. Listen. What was that song by ABC back in the 1980s? Was it Shoot That Poison Arrow Through My Heart? Terrible singer. I know that I shouldn't sing on the program, but I know I'm going to be getting hit with a lot of poison arrows. But all of you people sending me emails thinking that you actually thought that Congress was going to overturn this election, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Wasn't going to happen. You have to figure out why and what happened, and you have to come back and change it. One of the great things about this country is that we have elections every 2 years. Every 2 years, there is an election. Just think about this for a second. In about 12 months, they're going to be talking about the next House races. And if you don't like what's happened, well, then guess what? You make a change. Democrats took over the Senate. I knew they were. Based upon Trump. It's Trump's fault. Not Trump's fault. It's also the fact that the candidates in Georgia were awful. Awful. I don't think I could have voted for Loeffler. Did you watch her in the debate? She looked brain dead. Well, she's not a good debater. Give me a break. I could have thrown, again, my 16-year-old daughter up there, and she would have done a better job. Perdue, he didn't even show up for his debate. Didn't even show up to a debate. He was going to be, he's 71, 72-year-old. He's going to debating a 32, 33-year-old. Didn't even show up. And of course, all the Republicans in Georgia, the governor, they're all evil. They're all anti-Trump. They're all this. They're all. Come on. Stop. Okay? Stop. Cut it out. Enough is enough. Come back and fight another day. Anybody ever read Sun Tzu, The Art of War? Huh? Politics plays a part in that as well. And I'm not talking about actual war. I'm just talking about strategy. Don't do stupid stuff. Anyway, listen, I've admitted here, I've told people on the program, I'm honest with you, Donald Trump wasn't my choice in 2016. Rand Paul was. Rand Paul was my choice, and the 2 elections prior, his father, Ron Paul, was my choice. Many things about, again, I got to hand it to Trump. But the way he came back from that Access Hollywood tape, I thought it was over at that point. I thought it was over. Now, the ability to come back and win based upon that was extraordinary. But did that tape disgust me? Damn straight it did. I've spent my life inside locker rooms. I understand locker room talk. I've never said anything like that. And some of the conversations we've gotten into and the jokes have been crude over the years, but I never said anything like that. What he said about John McCain, and I disagree with John McCain. I can't tell you. We've gone off on him and some of the things that he's done over the years. But you just don't do that. And I get that. I get the, how could you stand up for a guy like that? Well, you know what? Perspective is one of the things that we like to offer up here on the program. You want to take a look at the conduct of guys like Lyndon Johnson and who they were. And again, totally disagree policy-wise. Donald Trump, as far as his economic policies were concerned and the things that he accomplished, were great for small businesses, great for employment, great for minorities. But again, unfortunately, I'm sorry, he blew it. Don't blame it on the media. Don't blame it on anything else. He blew it. I was giving this anecdote this past week. Sugar Ray Robinson, boxer, about how to win a fight, how to win in boxing. He talked about how you have to finish the round strong. Because guess what? The judges aren't going to remember. They're not going to remember the first 90 seconds of the round. They're going to remember whether or not you've finished that round strong. Didn't finish this that well. Anyway, again, I don't care. Listen, you want to debate me? Fine. You want to send me coherent, cogent arguments about what I've said out here? Fine. But again, if you're going to disrespect me or send me nasty messages, you think I'm going to reply back? You think I'm going to waste my time with you? Wrong. Delete. And that's something I want everybody to do. It's almost like the Animal House pledge. I state your name. I state your name, okay, do hereby pledge not to get into political debates or get involved in debates in comment sections and articles. I'm going to be more productive with my time. Do yourself a favor. All the time you're spending getting into political debates on Twitter and commenting on articles in the Wall Street Journal, whatever it may be, go out and donate your time. How about make somebody's life better? Do something with yourself because you're wasting it. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Again, become part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family, our personal CFO program, and I got to get into that when we get back and the need to move on. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com or give us a call, 800-471-5984. I just sort of look her over.
The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
All right. I know. The Watchdog on Wall Street. What does this have to do with my finances, my money? Well, everything. Everything. Again, that's what separates this program. That's why I'm in my third decade of broadcasting, because we do things the right way. It's not a buy, sell, or hold show. And everything that we talk about here on the program, it matters. It matters. I've talked about this a lot, talking about not calling it financial planning, financial preparation, and dealing with the terrain. And what I mean by dealing with the terrain, and again, it goes back to an old Navy SEAL said that you go into battle and you have a plan. Go into battle, you have a plan, and you have a map, and you land on some island somewhere, whatever it may be, and you've got to take the island. But when you get there, the map's wrong. The map's inaccurate. Where the enemy positions are not where they are on the map. What do? Do you stick with the plan? Do you stick with the map that's wrong, or do you go with the terrain? We here at the Watchdog on Wall Street show, Markowski Investments, are the ultimate all-terrain vehicle. You got it? We're like that brand new Hummer, except even better. We can deal with it all. So everybody that's sending me up there, oh, I got socialist this and socialist that. Yeah, that's been around okay, for a while. What do you think, that this is new? 15, 16 years ago, we were talking about corporate America being in bed with big government and the media, talking about regulatory capture. You don't think I'm aware of all of this? I understand it is what it is. I hate it. I don't like it, but I deal with it because that's my job. That's what we do. I had wished, quite frankly, it was part of Donald Trump's 2016 platform. He would have gone after and broken up the big banks. Last week here on the program, we talked about $200 billion in fines paid out by the big brokerage firms since 2000. Anybody going to jail? No. Anybody getting in trouble? No. Cases are getting worse instead of better? Yes. So what can you do about it? I don't know. How about moving your account? How about not working with those guys? I can talk about them till I'm blue in the face here on the program, but it's not going to change anything. That old saying, it is what it is. So what do I expect going forward? What do I expect out of a Biden administration now that they've got the House, the Senate, the presidency? Well, we'll get into that, won't we? We'll get into that, and again, we'll deal with it. That's what adults do. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com, WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. This is the one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Always honored to have you tuned into the program here. But what have we been doing? What have we been doing since November? Working with our accountants, our lawyers, trying to get our arms around the various different what if this happens, what if that happens, how we're going to go about handling it and dealing with the terrain with our clients. Preparing. The old Boy Scout motto, be prepared. This is why I invite each and every one of you to become a part of our family. Our personal CFO program. You will navigate storms, corrections, volatility. You'll be able to navigate a Democratic presidency, House, and Senate. Be able to handle it. We will handle it. Hell, we made money. We did quite well over the Obama years. Most people did not, but we did. We didn't spend our time complaining about the terrain. We dealt with it. That's what you need to do. That's what you're not getting elsewhere, and that's why I'm here. Now, what do I see moving forward? You don't think I can understand what's going on? I tell you, well, you know what? I'll tell you what I can hope for. What I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that both sides can recognize and see that this has gone way too far. I'm thinking of that scene in Anchorman with sitting back in a chair after the big battle between the various different networks. Oh, that escalated quickly. Maybe both sides can step back. And yeah, it's both sides, okay? Oh, yeah, it wasn't vitriolic. It wasn't nasty when Nancy Pelosi ripped up the State of the Union address right after Trump finished it. Of course it was. Does that help? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I can go back and forth. I can throw various different things that Trump said that didn't help. Again, people and their inflated egos making it about themselves. I can hope that they can see maybe what happened and maybe And these are a lot of these are smooth operators. They're calculating. They see what's happening around the country. They get it. Do I think at this point in time that there's going to be a push for a far left agenda? I do not. I'm sorry. I think that they all recognize what happened in 2010 after the first 2 years of Obama. Again, I could be wrong. Nancy Pelosi, she said that this is her last round as Speaker of the House. She may want to just shoot the moon, for crying out loud, and try to get as much done as she possibly can. But again, I got a sinking suspicion that some of those moderate Democrat senators are going to say, wait a second, here. I got to get myself reelected. Yeah, and we can hope that things will come together. Do I think that there's going to be some sort of tax increase? Yeah, I do. Do I think that we're going to end up bailing out states like New York and Illinois and California and Connecticut, maybe a few others? Yeah, I do. I think that money's coming. I think there's going to be a ton of printing. I do. I think the dollar is going to fall quite a bit. I think you'll probably see it. The $1.25 to $1.30 range against the euro. It's back where it was maybe about what? About 6 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. There's going to be consequences for all of this spending. There's no doubt about it. But guess what? We're going to deal with it. We're going to handle it, just like we've done in the past. Nothing changes. You own high-quality companies. You own companies that issue dividends, that pay you to own them. Do you have a portion of your portfolio that is geared towards some of the high flyers that are out there? Yeah. But guess what? You take profits along the way. You don't want to get caught up when a bubble bursts. The reality is you're never going to get in at the exact bottom, and you're never going to get out at the exact top. It just doesn't work that way. It's all about managing risk. Do I see some political risk moving forward? Yeah, I do. But one thing's been true about this country is the pendulum swings. It swings. There gets to a point we've gone too far. Starts coming back in the opposite direction. I think a lot, even in some of the societal stuff, the cancel culture, some of that, I think that that's almost hit a point where, you know what, we've gone too far. We've gotten a little bit ridiculous here. I cannot be pessimistic about the future. I can't. I've got 3 teenagers. I can't. I won't allow myself to be pessimistic. I will do everything and anything that I can to try to make the world a better place, to continue to educate here on the program. Am I happy about the way this election turned out? No, I'm not. But again, if you're a student of history, and you understand how history works, guess what? You come back to fight another day. That's all. You pick yourself up and you come back to fight another. You can't do anything about the past. You can only do stuff about what's moving forward. You can only worry about things, and this is a stoic part of a stoic. You can only worry about things that you have control over. That's it. If you focus on that, the things that you have control over in your life, man, oh man, are you going to be productive? Anyway, got to take a break. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Yeah, I could do a good 10 hours today. Easy. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
You know what I think our founders missed? You know what they needed to put into the Constitution? A reboot button. You know when your iPhone or your smartphone or your computer is not, something's not right, it's glitching or just off a little bit, you restart the computer, you restart your phone, and like, voila, everything's okay. Imagine if they put something in there, again, I was thinking about this, where maybe the Supreme Court, in extreme times or when the Supreme Court things are out of control, they can make a vote where you have to reboot Congress. Just reboot it. And what you mean by reboot it is that everybody gets thrown out of Congress, they can't run again, and you have to have elections for everyone. Imagine if we did that right now. Imagine if we can actually pull that off. We just got to reboot. Got to reboot. And you know what? Nobody that's actually ever worked in politics or Washington, D.C. could run. Most Americans can get by day in, day out dealing with people, the other side of the political spectrum, do business with one another, live happily in communities. They can. They can. But, what happens when you get politics and nonsense involved, social media? You can see it on Nextdoor and these other places. You get into these nasty, vitriolic fights that take place. Why? Go have a cup of coffee. Sit down, talk to somebody. Listen to somebody else. Understand. Listen to what their perspective is. I told you a story about a client of ours, very, very wealthy attorney. Very, very wealthy attorney, and he was a big-time Democrat, big-time donor to Democrat, big supporter of Obama. And his philosophy, it's different than my philosophy. A lot of people on the left think this. He just feels that certain people are just not up to the task in life, and it's the duty of the American people to take care of all of these others. And again, I described it as almost like treating people like rescue dogs. And I, on the other hand, would like to see these people to be lifted up on their own. You kind of pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Yeah, you might need some help, some direction in where to go. But I've always believed that overcoming obstacles in life is what makes life worth living. Makes us human. Nice enough guy. He and I disagree vehemently. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll continue to debate. We won't be nasty to one another. Anyway, little bit more on Trump as well before we have to move on. Donald Trump, I can go through, and I have here on the program. Again, I know all of the super Trumpsters out there, and again, I voted for him. But I can disagree with him as well. The things that he accomplished throughout his administration, in particular deregulation, getting small businesses up and excited again, how he defied all of the predictions that Obama put out there, that we were a country that was basically in the throes of decline and manufacturing wasn't going to come back. Millions came back into the labor force. Real business investment went through the roof. These are all things that he did, that he accomplished. And you know what? You can't take that away from him. A lot of his policies were excellent. He wasn't over the top. They called him a despot, a dictator, all that stuff. He didn't do that. When some of the things, his executive orders got rejected by the courts. Guess what? He followed the law. He changed them. But he didn't finish well. Donald Trump is the quarterback that throws for 500 yards in a game, scores 6 touchdowns, but then fumbles the ball in his own end zone 3 to 4 times and loses the game. That's what he did. Anyway, and again, you could disagree with me. You don't have to like what I have to say, okay? You want to challenge it? Fine. That's okay. But again, it's my opinion based upon the facts that I've given you. Does it make me a bad person because I think this way? And if you feel that makes me a bad person, well, then guess what? I don't want to talk to you. Who the hell do you think you are? Disagreement is fine. Debate is fine. Disrespect is not. And again, going back to the people that no matter what, you could give them every great economic, everything that Donald Trump did the right way. They couldn't get away from certain things. And you know what? It doesn't make them a bad person. What makes you a bad person is the way you treat others, how you treat others, in particular, how you treat others that can't do anything for you. Okay? That's a sure good sign. Okay? That's how you view people. And how you treat others that you disagree with. Are you nasty? Are you vitriolic? Are you disrespectful? Or do you listen? That's all I ever asked here on this program. Radio, good radio is a conversation between you and I get it. I get it. You might be talking to your radio, talking back to me, be cursing me out. Why are you cursing me out for? Why? Listen. Anyway, I got to talk about this next thing that I'm seeing out there. We've had, and I've mentioned before, we've had billions and billions of dollars in IPOs in 2020. And I find it's extraordinary. It really is. During a pandemic, billions and billions of dollars in IPOs, and some of them were these things that we've talked about here on the program. SPACs. Special Purpose Acquisition Companies. Basically, blank check companies. Blank check companies, all they have is money, and they set out to acquire a business. Now, again, I helped people out during the whole penny stock fraud, Jordan Belfort, Wolf on Wall Street stuff way, way back in the day. This is before I had a radio show. I understand how stocks are manipulated to the upside. But the reality is what these SPACs have been able to do is the companies that they acquire can say whatever they want. Can say whatever they want. They can go out and basically market what they do, even if it's not accurate. And I was thinking about it. I was saying, man, oh man, if all those Wolf on Wall Street types, penny stock guys had figured this out 30 some odd years ago, man, oh man, they would have even made more money, for crying out loud. This is where I get into something I've talked about a lot here on the program, and it's a problem we have on Wall Street. It's a problem we have with election laws. It's a problem we have all over the place, is that rules are not written in black and white. One can look to, you want to look at some old rules? Let's go old school. Let's go 10 Commandments. Are there any gray areas there in the 10 Commandments? At all? Any gray areas at all? No. No. Black and white. Rules, regulations, they need to be simple, easy to understand. One of the reasons why all of these big brokerage firms have been able to get away with murder over the years is because the laws are not written in black and white. They're written in gray. Lawyers love gray. Gray means it's up to interpretation. It means a lot of billable hours. It means when you're in front of the SEC or whatever it may be, they tell you, you know what, it's a gray area. Neither admit nor deny wrongdoing and walk away. Then they'll find another gray area somewhere else. We had some rules and regulations in this country dating back to the Great Depression, the Glass-Steagall Act, which separated certain aspects on Wall Street, and it worked. And all those regulations were probably, about 35 pages long? After the dot-com collapse, people getting ripped off, big Wall Street firms lying about the companies that they were taking public, all that stuff came out. What do we get? It was Sarbanes-Oxley, and you got Elliot Spitzer saying, he's going after the big brokerage firms, and it's never going to happen again. It's only gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse. Why? Because you got thousands of pages at Sarbanes-Oxley. Dodd-Frank, thousands of pages in Dodd-Frank. Why, you don't think that the attorneys that are hired by J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch, you don't think that they're going to outwit the SEC, regulators, Congress, you name it? Of course they are. This is why you want to work with people that are going to put your interests above their own. This is why. Somebody's always trying to pitch you or trying to sell you something. Constantly. I turn on any of the business programs out there, and the day trading outfits out there are, flying condor trading patterns and all of this stuff. What was the latest? I saw a Robinhood commercial this past week. Was taking shots at the 1980s with greed is good. The Robinhood platform is a gambling platform. It's not an investing platform. It's a gambling platform that people will lose. Even Fidelity came out. It was a story this past week. Even Fidelity has come out this past week and recognized that they're going to try to turn their day trading clients into clients with money managers. Because why? They know that people are losing their certs. What, you think you're going to go head-to-head with these big firms? You think you're going to out-trade them? Are you out of your mind? You can't. So don't. Prepare yourself properly for whatever the terrain is out there. Get to our website, watchdogonwallstreet.com. It's one word, watchdogonwallstreet.com. Sign up for our personal CFO program. Everything at our website is absolutely free. And do yourself a favor. Check me out. Check my family out. Read the columns that I was writing 20-some-odd, 30 years ago about what was going on at the time, how we handled every situation. Again, we are the ultimate all-terrain vehicle. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
You know, I mentioned earlier on in the program, I talked about the Stoic philosophy in regards to worrying about things that you have control over. And it's from Epictetus, and I pulled it up. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can clearly, to myself, which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself, to the choices that are my own. Pretty important, pretty deep stuff and how you think about it. And I also want to share with you, this is actually Marcus Aurelius. A person who doesn't know what the universe is doesn't know where they are. A person who doesn't know their purpose in life doesn't know who they are or what the universe is. A person who doesn't know any one of these things doesn't know why they are here. So what to make of people who seek or avoid the praise of those who have no knowledge of where or who they are? And you think about this in terms of, you get the Breakfast Club, where the principal, what was their report is who am I? You ever ask yourself that question? Can you answer it right away? You understand what your purpose is and what you're here to do? Can you articulate that? Yeah, I also think, sub-referencing, from Office Space, the Bobs, when they're doing their evaluation of all the workers at Initech. What exactly do you say you do here? It's important to know that. Anyway, moving on. I have to talk again about this because I got tons of emails. Tons of messages, tons of nasty messages from people all over the country that are upset with the fact that I happen to disagree with sending out $2,000 checks across the country. And I pulled this column up. Again, I want to show you how consistent I am. I wrote this column in January 2008. It's called Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And what basically the premise of the column was is that Congress and the president were acting like Santa Claus. Do you remember the checks that went out? Yeah. I called it the vote-buying, media-fearing incumbency protection bill of 2008. Again, congressional approval ratings at the time were at an all-time low. Now they're worse now than they were then. Michelle Malkin wrote, I wrote this down. I need a man who can say no, a man who rejects big nanny government, a man who thinks being president doesn't mean playing Santa Claus, a man who won't panic in the face of economic pain, a man who won't succumb to media-driven sob stories, a man who can look voters, the media, and the Chicken Littles in Congress in the eye and say the three words no one wants to hear in Washington: suck it up. Kids I coach are well aware of that because I say it all the time. Suck it up. Deal with it. Life's not fair. Everybody out there that thinks that a $2,000 check is going to make matters better, what's the matter with you? Huh? You think it's okay? Now listen, I want to make this perfectly clear. I think what David Portnoy is doing out there and helping out small businesses and restaurants around I think that's fantastic. I think we need to be helping people out that have been royally screwed by this pandemic, that have been put out of work, that have had their businesses destroyed. They need the help. I have no problem with that. But to feel that you're entitled to this $2,000 check and you're coming up with these odd justifications for it. Let me tell you, I actually gave it some thought. A lot of thought. And I actually talked about this on the podcast. I don't know, people. At this point in time, again, I'm going to have this debate with you, and I know I'm going to get some interesting comments when I talk about this. I'm actually thinking about this whole universal basic income thing. Yeah, I mean, that was the thing that Andrew Yang was talking about. Andrew Yang, I think, wanted $1,000 a month or something like that, a couple $1,000 a month. I can't remember exactly what it is. But I did a little homework on this universal basic income. You know, Milton Friedman actually talked about this. He called it a negative income tax. And it would work like this. He said, if we set a bottom income floor, let's say $30,000 per year. So those, let's say, for example, those making $0 would get $30,000 a year. Those making $20,000 a year would get $10,000. Charles Murray of the American Enterprise Institute has argued for an annual $10,000 stipend to all Americans plus $3,000 for health care. Now, again, they're bringing this up and they're saying we have to get rid of all the other welfare programs around the country completely and just make this the rule of law. But I don't know at this point in time. When I saw this past week that 58%, Rasmussen poll, was it 58? Maybe, I think it might have been high. Maybe even 68%. Excuse me. 68% of Americans wanted that $2,000 check to go out. And I was taken back. I was taken back. It frightened me. It did, to see where we've come from. 68% of the country wants this. And I'm saying to myself, what's next? Free beer? 68% of Americans demand free beer from Congress. I want to expand on this a little bit when we get back. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com, WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Again, take advantage of all the great stuff we have at our website. Become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family, our personal CFO program, WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Yeah, I'll give you a small example of some of the messages that I get. Trump wants to take the money away from giving it to foreign nations, and that money should go to us. He should be sending us checks. Okay, so what you're telling me is that it's a binary choice. You're saying that we have to spend the money, and it either goes to the foreign nations or it goes to you? That's what you're saying? How about not spend it at all? Or how about have that money go to people that actually really need it? I'm not saying that you don't need it. I'm not saying your financial situation might not be that great. I don't know if it's your fault. I don't know, whatever it may be. But you happen to think it's okay for your fellow Americans to just cut a check because the money doesn't come from a tree somewhere. This is all going to be put on our debt. It's going to be paid for by my kids, and God willing, someday, my grandkids. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the money's got to come from somewhere. You see, 68% of the people wanted these checks. Are we all socialists now? Are we? Listen, I've gone off on all sorts of handout and giveaway programs here on the show. Here, I'll give you another one. The government flood insurance. Yeah, where you can get subsidized insurance, flood insurance, if you live near the water. So you've got your $5 million mansion, right there, Hurricane Alley, there in the Gulf of Mexico somewhere, and you're getting subsidized insurance. Your taxpayers subsidizing your house. It's not right. It's not fair. Rich people's welfare. Are we all socialists now? And again, I've gotten tons of questions. Well, the PPP program went out, and a lot of people used it the wrong way. Sure, a lot of people used it the wrong way, but a lot of people used it the right way. And the PPP program was nothing more than unemployment. If you don't understand what gets written off, how a PPP loan becomes forgivable, well, then educate yourself. You have to continue to pay your workers, or you have to pay the money back. Meaning, people didn't go on unemployment because certain businesses got PPP money, which in turn paid their workers so they wouldn't go on unemployment. It was the same thing. It was just, for the most part, it was just an extension. 98% of it was just an extension of unemployment. That's all. That's what it was. Anyway. So are we going to be in this brand new era of non-stop stimulus? Is that what we're going to get? Because if you think that that's going to work, it's not. Money is going to be used the wrong way. It is. It's going to be used improperly. You can talk about, you send out those stimulus checks and it's going to cause economic activity. Sure. And I equate this to, if I'm really, really tired, say I haven't slept well, I haven't slept well because there's terrible things happening in this country that I'm trying to process, that I need to translate to my listeners, and it's bothering me, and I'm worried about my kids, and I'm tired. I haven't slept well, and I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm tired, and I have my first cup of coffee, and it gives me a jolt. I'm still technically tired. The caffeine gave me an artificial stimulus, woke me up to some degree, but it's going to wear off. You know, I was thinking about all this, the stimulus checks and the money that they want to throw around at this point in time, and you're going to get more of it, okay? You are. You get the Biden administration's coming in, those $2,000 checks are going out. They are, okay? They're going to continue to spend money. And it reminded me of, again, when Mitt Romney was, I talked about this here on the program, and he was a very important part, and I said it right here on the show. Mitt Romney has a fundraiser in southeast Florida somewhere, and somebody tape records him saying that, 50% of the population is, basically being given stuff all the time and wants stuff, and they're never going to vote for me anyway. Oh, my God, it's terrible. What did Mitt say? And what did Mitt do? Mitt, being the weak candidate that he is, and this guy's a bit afraid of his own shadow, rather than going out and owning what he said, because it's true, and talking about how the Republican Party, the conservatives, are about lifting people up, making them self-reliant, and wanting to get people out of or off of that hamster wheel of constant handouts and giveaways, he walked it back. But where are we now? 68% want checks. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Again, our newsletter, consultations with our certified financial planners through our personal CFO program. Take advantage of all the great stuff we have. We're going to go over that again when we get back. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We shall return.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Again, people, we're here to help. Not only do we manage people's money, help them prepare for life, and it's all inclusive. It's, you need help with your taxes. You need help with legal. We help people out quite a bit, small businesses around the country, with the PPP program when it came out, and there is a second round that's coming out. And again, got all the information that's been made available. We've put it together. Accounting firm that we work with, D'Onofrio and Corporate, has put together an unbelievable body of work to help you understand. And if you don't understand, we'll answer your questions and we'll help you with it. A lot of the PPP program, at least the second round, is going to. It's yet to be written. A lot of these laws that are written by Congress, they leave a lot up to the IRS and the Treasury Department. And as soon as we get the information, we can help you with that. Again, it's what we do. It's what we do. Does your schlockbroker at Wells Fargo Advisors help you with your small business? Huh? Does the Merrill Lynch guy do that? Oh, he may take you out to dinner and give you some nice tchotchkes. But no, this is what we do. Our personal CFO program is about, like I said earlier, navigating storms, financial storms, corrections, volatility, being able to avoid and understand, recognize risk, serious risk, including stuff that you haven't seen before. One of the things that we've talked about for years here, conventional wisdom is poison. Narratives, poison. So you can discern the difference between the conventional wisdom of the day and the reality of the terrain. This is what we do, and we're here to help you. Get to our website at watchdogonwallstreet.com. Sign up for our personal CFO program. Again, we've been very consistent here on the program when it comes to COVID and how it's been handled. And we've looked at the numbers. And, again, we see a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense. Oh, by the way, while we're on the topic of COVID, about a month ago, I gave blood, and I got I got a letter in the mail this past week from the blood center saying that I tested positive for the COVID antibodies. Got it. Now what? Yeah, in the letter it says there's significant evidence that says that you may be immune to it, but they kind of get into kind of covering their butt type of stuff. So now what? Actually, even the letter didn't say anything about me donating antibodies or anything like that, which I'd be more than happy to do. But how's it going to work? How are we going to do this with vaccines? I've yet to hear anything saying if you've had it already, you go to the back of the line. How is this going to work? Anyway, saw this. This was interesting as well. Is that despite the no lockdowns in the state of Florida, and there's no mask mandate, even though businesses on their own can tell you, yeah, hey, you want to come in, you wear a mask. Florida right now has the same hospitalization rate as the 2018 flu season. That's right. Same hospitalization rate right now as it did during the 2018 flu season. Explain that to me. Anyway, Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Again, our personal CFO program. Take advantage. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street. The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street show. All right. We're on a topic, talk a little bit about COVID. And, they're talking about, we were supposed to get 20 million people vaccinated by the end of December. That didn't happen. And what did we get up to? Maybe like 6 million. It was supposed to be, 20 million, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I knew that was going to happen based upon the rollout. You were having government do it. And you find fascinating. I remember coming back this past fall from Delaware with my daughter and her friends, and they were hungry, and they wanted Chick-fil-A. So we pull off to the Chick-fil-A, and I'm watching the process that Chick-fil-A is doing through the drive-thru. They got multiple people. Your orders are go over to there in the parking lot, bringing it out your order. It was amazing. Why not? Honestly, you could put Chick-fil-A in their process in charge of delivering vaccines. They would have done a better job. We have pharmacies on almost every corner. Walgreens, CVS. Well, why not? I mean, you get your flu vaccine there, can you not? I mean, they always advertise it. Every time I go buy one, we have our local one here in our town, Value Drug. But they can't administer vaccines there? You have the existing infrastructure in place to deliver these things. Yet you don't use them. Anyway, shouldn't shock anybody. The 5 metro areas with the highest move-outs were located in New York and New Jersey. Yep. And we got the move-ins. The move-ins, the top 5 were Wilmington, North Carolina, Sarasota, Florida, my old home, Boise, Idaho, Huntsville, Alabama, and Fort Myers, Florida. Now, before this pandemic and shutdowns and what's taken place and the destruction of New York City, and I go on and on, regular basis, you could go to one of the hotels here on Long Island where they'd have basic, they'd get out a conference room, where they would have various different areas around the country, market to people to move to their area. Please move it. This is why. No taxes, all this stuff, and people were moving. This was before. It's accelerating. Miami is killing it. It is picking up as far as financial firms are concerned and hedge funds, you name it. They're moving in droves to Miami and the Palm Beach area. You know, Palm Beach, Florida right now, people are buying houses without even looking at them in person. That's how hot the market is. Guess what? Shouldn't surprise anyone. There comes that point in time where people say, you know what, that's all I can stand. I can't stand anymore. Didn't Popeye say that? That's all I can stand. I can't stand no more. There is that breaking point. And I think many of the states recognize this. I think that, I think that Andrew Cuomo and Gavin Newsom and Pritzker were all hot, where they opened up a fine bottle of wine or champagne late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning in the wee hours with what they saw happen in Georgia, because their states are going to get a bailout, because they are now. They're going to get a bailout. There was conversation in regards to raising taxes in these states, and they knew, oh my God, if we have to raise taxes, that's it. A lot of people are more people are going to just up and move. One more COVID story I want to get to. And again, another see I told you so moment. We ask a lot of questions here on the program. Again, I constantly question authority, because I don't respect authority unless they earn respect. So back in March of this past year, and everybody freaking out at that point in time. Oh my God, don't touch the packages that were delivered to your house. But he's dousing themselves in Purell, which I chose not to do. I went to Target with my wife. Again, I don't do well in big box stores unless it's Home Depot or something like that. I go into Target with my wife, and this is at the point in time where all the businesses were shut down. It was only essential businesses like Target. And I talked about this on the show back in March. I said, well, does this make any sense? From an epidemiological point of view, does it make any sense at all to shut down all of these stores and only allow for a few stores to open up, thereby forcing people to congregate in these few stores? That sounds to me, that's pretty dumb. Oh, guess what? There was a study done. Now, just came out. Lockdowns don't work because they force people to congregate in fewer places. People get paid for this stuff. What is just obvious. Sky is blue, water is wet. To anybody that has a couple brain cells to rub together and has a critical mind, it's right there. Of course it's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't really bother kids. Let's send all the kids home from college. Let's send kids home from school. We'll shut down the restaurants at 10 o'clock, and that means people will come home and hang out at each other's houses. It's stupid. And again, this is why people will push back. And again, I'll make this perfectly clear, okay? COVID's real. It's real. And whenever I talk about, you're a COVID denier. No, I'm not. I got it, for crying out loud. I was sick for a few weeks. I was. I got up, did everything I normally did it from home. I kind of knew that I got it, never got tested. It's real. But that's okay. It's part of the terrain. How do you go about dealing with it? Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Our 24-hour day help hotline, 800-471-5984. We'll be back.